Okay, today we're going to be installing some running boards on a Mercedes ML350. These are aftermarket running boards. They're model SSB as in boy OE-W16406. It's a 2006 W164-NB. So again, it's model number SSBOE-16406-NB. NB probably stands for Nerf boards, since that's what these are commonly called. You can see from the design. So we've already done this one side, and we went ahead and did that so we could figure out the kinks, because everything we found online points to the fact that there are a lot of them. It took us about 3 hours to do this first side. We're guessing it's going to take about an hour to do the second side. We'll go over what you need as far as tools and what comes in the kit, what's remaining in the kit in just a few minutes. So we're going to get the vehicle turned around and prepped, and we'll be right back. Okay, so we've got the car turned around. Couple of things you're gonna want to notice. You've got these push pins right in here that you're gonna have to remove. There are 2 on the back, and there are 3 of them on the front. I don't know if you can see those back in there, but there are 3 right here. 1, 2, 3. Now, this is going to allow us to remove the rocker panel and this front piece, which is separate from the rocker panel, but we're going to remove this front piece as well, because our new running boards come with that. And that's what my friend Daly is doing right now. Daly, show us that tool real quick. This tool, it comes part of a tool kit that you can buy at any hardware store, auto parts store. There's a couple of versions in there, and it's for trim work inside your car. But in this case, we're going to use it to help get these push pins out. These are the same push pins that are used on pretty much all kinds of cars to hold on exterior rocker panels and things like that. So we're going to go ahead and remove those, and we'll get to the next step in just a sec. Okay, after you have the pins out, you're going to move to underneath the vehicle, and you're going to see these little plastic nuts that are on these bolts. There are 7 of them under the vehicle, and they go all the way across from the front to the back. So once you get those 7 out, then we're going to open the doors and remove the rocker panel. All right, as we get ready to take these out, these 7 nuts off of the bolts underneath, you're gonna, if you've got a creeper, probably want to pull that out. If not, slide you a blanket under there. They're all 10 millimeter, so make sure you have a 10 millimeter socket and ratchet handy, or a 10 millimeter open or closed wrench, and they should come right off. All right, for this next part, as you can hear, Jaylee is pulling these down over the studs where you just removed the plastic nuts from underneath. This front piece, you're going to go ahead and pull off as well and get rid of, because you're not going to need it. Your running boards come with this piece intact. So once you loosen everything up, you're going to want to open both doors, front and back. That's going to give you a better access to pulling this off. You're removing the rocker panel. So you pull out from the bottom over the studs, there are some clips inside that you've got to release. You hear that pop loose, see it come out. Those are the clips popping off inside. This is what holds the rocker panel tight to the body. And it's going to come back here. Release the back side. Don't worry about breaking this, because this is something you're not going to be using again. You're going to set this aside and store it or sell it, or and there you go. One rocker panel removed. Now, if you close the doors, you'll see what you're left with. This was the support for the rocker panel. This is what you were pulling loose. This is where those clips go. They were clipped in there. That's what you heard popping loose. Now, you've got a series of nuts on bolts across these two pieces. You can see Daly taking those off as well. Those are 10 millimeter as well. So we're going to remove both of these plastic support pieces and set them aside. Okay, so one more 10 millimeter nut and these plastic support pieces can come off. Oh, make that two. You will need to open the door to get these off. They come off fairly easily. Go ahead. You open the door. You'll see they fall right away. Okay, you close the doors, get them out of your way for now. For this next part, believe it or not, hold that up for me, Daly. Believe it or not, you are going to need a chisel. About a 1/2 inch blade on the chisel, because you've got these pieces right here that have a huge plastic bolt in the middle of them. It's actually rubber. Bolt in the middle, and a flathead screwdriver will not do the job. You're going to need something like this to be able to turn that and take that that rubber bolt out. Here's a closer look at what we're removing, and here is an example of what I'm talking about. You're going to have to get this out, and you can see, you can tell that on the top of this, you will not be able to use a flathead on that. It will twist right out, and you'll ruin it, and you'll have to get creative on how to get it out. If you do need to get creative on how to get it out, this is one option. Last resort, put a couple of wood screws into it, use them for the torque, use a pair of pliers, and twist it. Okay? Hope you don't need to do that. Use a chisel, be smart about it. Maybe with the chisel, use a pair of pliers to get the torque you need and pull it out. And there are two of these, one at the front, one at the back. Alright, so when you're done with your deconstruction, you're going to have a rocker panel. You're going to have two of these shorter panels. You're going to have the end piece, and you're going to have a couple of these little guys. Alright, so now we're done with deconstruction. We can start with the piece that comes in a plastic bag wrapped in foam, and it actually comes all together. So what you have at this point is these two metal pieces, this plastic backing, and your vanity piece. All right, you'll see the clips here that when you snap it on will snap and bring these two things together. As we go through and take this apart, we'll go over exactly how we're doing that. You're going to start by taking out these 5 screws in the bottom of the piece. Once you flip it upside down, you can see the 5 screws across there, just a standard Phillips screw. On the other side is the Nerf vanity plate, and it's covered in these little button-like things, and there are 5 of them that are not permanently mounted. They are the receptacles for these screws. So you'll see what we mean when we get to that part, and that's actually one of the very last things you will reassemble when we get this on the truck. All right, after you have those screws out, you're going to flip it over, and you're going to notice 1 or 2 of these clips are going to be already inserted. And to get it out, you just squeeze it with some needle nose pliers, and it'll release. There should be 1 or 2 possibly on each end. I think that's it. So now you can separate the vanity piece from the rest of the assembly. There it comes. Like that. And you want to carefully set it aside on a blanket or something so that you don't scuff it up. All right, so we've got our frame piece. We're going to go ahead and open the doors of the ML350 again, and you're going to lift this up and place it on these studs like so. All right, see, onto these bolts, make sure they all line up, they're where they should be. And on the other side, we noticed that for the most part they were. You will have to do some maneuvering underneath to get it adjusted, and that's what Daly is going to do right now. Gotcha. All right. We made the mistake on the other side of removing these metal pieces right here and trying to attach them and then attach this to that assembly on the car. That turned out to be an 1.5-hour mistake. So this time around, having learned from our mistakes, we're not going to do that. We're going to leave this assembly attached and attach the entire thing to the car at one time. You may be wondering what these pieces are for. These are black plastic and rubber pieces that come with the kit. They're just like the 2 things that are already on the car that we just took off a few minutes ago. So there's really no way to get this inside the frame, the metal frame on each end. So we think it's an either-or situation, that you either use this type or use the metal. We chose to go with the metal brackets because they're much sturdier, feel like they could take much more of a load, and that's how we're going to install it. So you're going to have 4 of these things, plus the 4 you take off of the car, left over when you finish the project. You may have to loosen the 12mm nuts on the back of the bolts that attach the metal assembly on the end to the plastic support frame in order to give it a little play to work it around onto the studs back there. There's no easy way to do this really than just loosen and wiggle, loosen and wiggle. Unfortunately, the kit that we're working on with here today does not come with a precise lineup as far as bolts and holes, so you're going to have to kind of try and make it fit. It seems like it should, because it's specifically sold for a Mercedes-Benz ML350 W164, but it doesn't. So take that for what it's worth. Just know you're going to have some work cut out for you. Okay, so in order to get some of the studs and the holes to line up underneath the vehicle, we're going to go ahead and put back on these 10mm nuts that we took off, that are kind of a nut and washer with a plastic insert, a lock washer thing, all combined. So we're going to go ahead and put those on. That's going to pull this back against the vehicle, and then underneath you will be able to hopefully better line up the studs. And here is what they look like. And there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of those down through there. So a little bit of a tedious task, but they all got to go on. This is what supports it, holds it back to the vehicle when you step up on it. If you don't get them all on, it's not the end of the world. There are some on the ends, and possibly on the other end, most likely, that may be too close to the edge, but it's past where anybody's going to be stepping. So we had to leave one off on the other end, the front side of the vehicle. I'll go ahead and show you where that is. You come to the same situation. Right in there is where that is, and no one's going to be stepping up here on this board unless you're trying to get up on the windshield to clean or something. So if you're not stepping up here, we left this one off, and then when you put the vanity plate over it, it's going to cover it anyway. But just so you know, that's possibly might be one that you might have to leave off on both sides. All right, so we have all of these 10mm nuts back on to their studs, all the way down the side, all the way down the running board, except, again, and you can see why, this one. You can see how it's going to come out like this on the W164. The stud is over against the side of the plastic housing, and you will not be able to get a nut with a flange that size on here. Can't do it. So again, we're going to leave this one off, and we're just going to remember that that one on the very front is off. No choice. So that takes us back up under the vehicle to finish putting these plastic, they're plastic, aren't they, Daly? These plastic 10mm nuts back on underneath. And there should be 7 of those down through there. And once you get those on, we'll move on to the next step. All right, so we're just going to go back and check the tightness on these across here. You do not want to use an impact wrench on these. Just use your socket and your ratchet, because you cannot over tighten them. If you over tighten them, these soft studs will break off. Just a heads up. So do not use an impact wrench on this. Looks like everything's tight and good, and we're ready to, got our support system on, we're ready to move on to the next step. All right, so we pick up our vanity piece. And I'm gonna go ahead and kind of just lay it down approximately where you want it. This part is going to involve getting it into the right spots, getting those clips into the right holders, and making it fit. Let's see if I can help with this. Wow. There we go.
That looks right about right.
And then we'll go down.
Go down?
No, we'll go down and knock these clips in. Yeah, be real careful on the ends. Your ends have to fit in to a certain place and fit the body trim. So be really careful on your ends. Use the trim tools that we were talking about. Just like if you were working on the dash putting in a car stereo, works the same kind of way. Just use those tools, you'll be good to go. And then use a little force to get the clips into place. You'll hear them pop like that. And just work your way down the car. The car door will help pull it back into place. And hold it there while you push and get the clip in. On the end, make sure you check that your holes line up for your push pins.
That's on the wrong side too.
And that you have your vanity plate for your Nerf board on the right side of your car track in the wheel well. There's also another little piece directly behind where Daly's, right here, directly behind here, that you got to slide this little lip in up and over. Hard to work with, but once you get it, you'll know it. You'll feel it. You'll hear it. It'll pop right into place. Any little trim tool will help guide that right in.
Maybe.
Will be frustrating. Will take a little bit of time, but it eventually will go into place. All right, so we got our vanity plate on, got it snapped into place, and all down through here, you notice most of these holes, like this one, are now gone. That's because you have these pieces that are exactly like the studs on the Nerf board here that actually fit into those holes. The problem is when you get up to the ones on the end, they're not going to go. They're going to sit there and they will not penetrate all the way through. You can't line the screw up. It's impossible. You just can't be done. So what you do is, in that case, you're going to need to get out something unusual for working on a car, a drill with a bit approximately the size of the hole, so a little bit less than 1/4 of an inch, and you're just going to take that drill, line it up straight once you get through the hole, and just drill all the way through. You'll see a little plastic shavings come out. You'll know you did your job. And once you get that point, it should drop straight into place, exactly where it goes. Then you take the screw, insert it in the hole underneath, line them up. It's a little frustrating to line them up. After all, you are lining up blind from underneath this piece into that piece, and it's not exactly easy to find. But get down in there, use a light if you have to, shine it up in the hole. You can come up with it and line the two up. Use a Phillips screwdriver and put the two together, and you'll be good to go. Now, there are 5 or 6 of those down through here. Once you're done, you can't even tell where the running board is held onto the car. So we're gonna finish that piece and then we'll be done. All right,
I know.
so we finished all the way down and we're at the back here. Now, one of the problems we found is that these holes don't always line up. In this case, 2 of them did, this one and this one, but this one, the hole is over here. So there's no way to attach this to the body. And the problem is that you've got this stick out here when it's supposed to be pulled back like that. So what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to drill a new hole through this plastic and through this sheet metal. There's nothing behind it. You can see it's just sheet metal that's bent around in a 90. So I'm gonna have Daly push that in and hold it. I'm gonna drill a hole right through here into the sheet metal, and then we're gonna put that push pin that would normally go in here into there. It's a little frustrating. You have to do it. You gotta use a pretty good sized drill bit because you gotta try to match this hole. So we're gonna go ahead and do that now. So we got our hole, and we got our new place for our push pin. Push pin is in, and you can see how it pulled this back where it's supposed to be. And there you go. Running boards. SSBOE-W16406-NB. SSBOE-W16406-NB. And both sides of the vehicle. And that is what they look like, my friends. I appreciate you watching. If you are going to try to save yourself $700, which is, if you go to the Mercedes dealership, it's going to be about $1,000 to get these running boards put on. So if you want to save yourself about $700, $1,000 at the dealership, $300, $299 free shipping from ProTuningLab.com or SpecDTuning.com. You can you could do this. It's going to take a whole afternoon, about 5 hours. The first 3.5 to 4 hours were on one side, trial and error. The last hour was on the second side. It was easy, what we just showed you guys to put on. I don't know why these running boards don't line up properly on the vehicle as far as studs and bolts. It doesn't seem like the measurements were made very carefully. If you don't mind playing around, getting your hands dirty, get a little greasy, it's the way to go. Save yourself $700. So there you go. Running boards, Mercedes ML350.